open game. What did you make of it?
It was a high-scoring game. Yeah, I don't know that it was an open game. Depends. You watch it on TV. I'm not sure how it looked there, but no, it wasn't an open game. Both teams had numbers up around the ball, but then both teams were able to get outside of that pressure early. So, yeah, in terms of, I think when people say open game, they think of forwards stretched out at both ends. It wasn't like that. But it's playing. It's a great luxury to play at Etihad Stadium in the middle of winter. It was probably a pretty nice day in Melbourne anyway today. But the game was of a pretty high standard. Both teams kicked good goals, and Essendon kicked some great goals today. And again, some people might say that there's an element of luck to that, but they were actually trying to kick them. So they did what they were trying to do. So I call them great goals. And Essendon have really played a good style of footy. They're really playing to their strengths, and we did our best to try and mitigate those strengths, and it worked pretty well at times, but at other times they were just too good for us and able to get out, and they've got some real speed in their team.
What happened in the second quarter when they got away from it?
Sorry?
What happened in the second term? They started to get away from it?
Yeah, you take your chances going forward and you go back to the centre. So too many times they were able to, we were probably trying to be a little bit too aggressive going forward, and they were able to hurt us on the counter-attack a number of times. And then we probably went back into our shell a little bit and ended up just bombing the ball a bit. And they were able to clean that up and play their way from there. So we spoke a lot about that at half-time, and I thought we made some, even though we conceded, I think, the first goal or two in the third quarter, I thought we turned the game around to a certain extent in that third quarter, but just weren't able to go on with it.
Where was the breakdown for you, Scotty? Like, you just said that, I thought coming into the game, maybe there's some concerns about their outside midfield speed. Did you see that was an issue, them getting it on the outside?
Yeah, I think it was. That's the risk. They've got some genuine speed, and they're playing to that strength at the moment. But we were disappointed at times with the way we defended it. But full credit to the way they moved it. They a number of times they worked through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 layers of pressure. So it wasn't as if we were sitting off and just chasing them. We pressured them reasonably well, but not well enough. And with a side like Essendon playing like they are at the moment, you need to be at your absolute best. And we were just a little bit off there, and they were just very, very good at capitalising on their contested ball wins, and they're good by hand, and they get hard forward.
Looking at the big picture of the game, Scotty, talking about whether we leave the game alone and potentially say more of this, or introduce quite severe change. Where do you stand on that? Do you want to see starting positions or reducing the changes, or do we let the game go?
No, I think we're at a point where we've got to at least investigate opportunities to make the game look better. That's again, like today, we shouldn't be fooled into thinking that it was as been discussed, opening the game up and forwards at both ends, and because that happened to a certain extent, but both teams were still able to manipulate numbers around the contest and behind the ball. So if you take away that option from a coaching group, potentially a lot more games look like it did today. So I think it's really worth looking at. I said to you on radio pre-game, I think AFL footy is the best game in the world. I've seen a lot of world sport, biased obviously, but I think our game is fantastic, but we shouldn't stop looking for ways to make it better.
Ben Jacobs out again. It's obviously concerning. What's the outlook?
Yeah, it's a concern because he hasn't played for a couple of weeks, but we're not concerned with any sort of medium long-term ramifications, because he's not, and that's why we picked him. We had to put our side in on Thursday, so we picked him because he trained and he felt pretty good, but the doctors told me that you can name him, but if he's not 100%, we can't pass him fit to play. So we gave him right up until the last minute, but he still had some, albeit minor, but he still had some symptoms. So the curve is looking good in terms of improvement, but it's not 100%, and we're just not prepared to play him unless he is.
Been a lot of discussion, Scotty, about the players North Melbourne hasn't been able to attract over the journey or How's the investment in Paul Lerner looking? You reckon he's another step forward today?
Yeah, he's fantastic ball in hand, and we've got to keep reminding ourselves he's coming off 2 knee reconstructions and hasn't played a lot of footy recently. But he's, we probably thought this year that we'd hope to get some footy into him in the back end of the year, but he's, so to that extent he's probably exceeded expectations so far, and we're pretty confident in the upside too.
What's the prognosis on that?
He's got a hamstring. He's going to miss weeks, plural. So, yeah. As to how many, I can't give you a definitive. I don't think anyone can give you a definitive number on it. But it's bad enough that he's definitely not going to play for a couple of weeks, and then from there, it'll just depend on his rehab.
I know you tend not to look at ladder positions, but does the support when you look at the cluster in the middle and look at today as a lost opportunity, given the results that happened for you?
Well, it's both sides of it, isn't it? There's opportunities, but I mean, I can understand, and people see that, and it's very, very clear. And there will be a sense with our players and coaches that a missed opportunity, but you play 22 games in the home and away season, you just got to accumulate as many wins as you can. But even apart from that, I just consistently look at what we've got to do to be a better side. And I've said for a number of years that just getting results to go your way and falling into the finals, while it's great to play finals footy, you want to be a team that when you qualify for finals, you feel like you belong there and you play footy that's good enough to beat anyone. So that's where our focus is, to keep improving. And there's some elements of our game that are still really solid. We let ourselves down defensively against a really good offensive side today. But again, I always think you learn a lot more from those losses than you do from big wins. So our job now is to go to school, make sure that we're better next week, and then better the week after, and hopefully that qualifies us to play some really good footy when it counts.
So just to clarify on Jacobs, you think you're hopefully will be available to play against the Suns?
I am, yeah. So I was this time last week. He should be available. Was the report to me. Let's hope we're not sitting here this time next week saying the same thing. But
would you like to merit? Would that have been as you planned? Was that?
Yeah, probably. Yeah. They've got some good midfielders. I mean, Heppel sort of moved to Cunnington, and there's no doubt it hurts us. But I'm sure John Worsfold didn't come in here and say, "I wish we had Zaharakis and Joe Danaher." So, I'm not going to use those as excuses.
Very self-indulgently, Scotty. I'm suspecting my way into this, but I'll try anyway. I know you've made preliminary finals, but do you feel you guys are coaching as well this year as you ever have? Like, it's just in terms of the discussion about coaches and maturing, and at the end of last year we were talking about whether you were going to be staying at the club or whatever. But do you think it would be right to say, would you feel like you're coaching as well as ever this year, even though in other years you've finished higher up the ladder with a more mature side?
There's a great saying in coaching that that you're only as good a coach as the quality of players you've got. I mean, I think that there's no doubt that coaches can mess teams up. You have fantastic players, and coaches can be detrimental. But it's you've got to have players that are capable of executing plans that you put in place. And a big part of that for us is coaching the fundamentals really strongly, so that then players have the fundamental skill to be able to execute your game plan. And I think our coaching group's got better each year, and there's no doubt that if you stay in this game long enough, you've got to be able to evolve. And I think we've evolved pretty well this year, but we've got better players than people give us credit for. Maybe last month or 2 months, people have put the focus on a couple of blokes that we've rated pretty highly for a long period of time. But no, we've improved, but we're still not where we want to be.
Thanks,
Cheers.